Well, my friends, we are so honored to have as our guest tonight Mrs. L, my better half, my moiety, my love, my compatriot, my everything, my co-conspirator in this fight for liberty. What's on your mind tonight in this inaugural version of what we're doing? Tell me the
Well,
issue
I
that's. Go ahead.
pressing the most pressing issue that I cannot stop thinking about are open borders, because knowing that 100,000 children approximately unaccompanied have come over the borders and have been distributed all over this country. So we have that going on that nobody's really talking about. And then right here in our own country, people are knocking Sound of Freedom, which is as of today, about $130 million at the box office, with all kinds of theories about it. It is simply a human interest film about the realities of child sex trafficking. And nobody's paying attention to our American children being trafficked, exploited. And also, no matter what you think of the border, we have all these kids coming over. And what's happening to them? Nobody has the answers.
What is your appraisal of that movie? What did you think of it?
My appraisal is anything that gets people to watch anything about child exploitation, trafficking, the very difficult subject matter. It's a good thing. It has started people talking about it. Remember, and something I've learned from you, you only take flack when you're over the target. Therefore, there was a lot of silence. The movie opened on July 4th. July 5th, 6th, didn't hear anything about it. Then all of a sudden, July 7th, 8th, everybody got their marching orders. Everybody seemed to have the same bullet points. Mainstream media, a lot of online sites, a lot of periodicals, they all had the same thing. Christian movie of faith, a MAGA movie, all kinds of things they were saying about it. People who see it are touched. People who see it are talking about it. Anything that gets us to talk about the reality of child sex trafficking, knowing in this country, the United States, there is a full on push for the normalization of the sexualization of all children. So I think the movie is very well done. It's not salacious. They don't
Where
really
was
show.
the where was the conspiracy theory part of it? That's the part that I don't because right now it is undisputed. If you believe the UN, if you believe the Department of Justice, if you believe any country, any organization up to and including that, I'm sure of the Biden administration, certainly under President Trump, uh, human trafficking, child sexual predation. This is a given.
Mhm.
Where was the conspiracy? Where was this? Are they suggesting that the children who are abused and hurt and raped and disfigured and permanently um, uh, affected, that this is not real? This is tantamount to tinfoil hat Elvis sighting? I don't understand it. What are they?
Listen,
What are they suggesting?
I don't think they even know what they're suggesting. I think they throw anything against the wall to upset everything. The Every year the administration, whether it's Trump administration, now Biden administration, they put out their yearly trafficking in persons report that is every single nation around the world, including the United States, with the horrific numbers. Now, although the whole focus in that report does seem to be on foreign and labor, they do include sex trafficking and exploitation numbers. So they say one thing, there are plenty of groups working, maybe considered left with all of this. They know the facts. There are groups considered right, conservative, Christian, whatever, religious. They know the facts. They they're just making it up. There's nothing to it. We know what this is. We know from law enforcement. We know from Homeland Security. This rivals the drug trade as the number one crime. Also, the arms trade we're hearing about. And something we're not talking enough of is child labor as part of this human trafficking. Because I just posted a story on my Twitter, everybody, Lynn's Warriors, where 3 children, it's just being reported now, teens, working in plants. One was a chicken plant, uh, got sucked into the machine and got killed. There are 14 states right now that are trying to get labor laws for children reduced. And the state of Iowa, as of July 1st, did indeed get get it all reversed. So a 14-year-old can serve liquor in a restaurant, and when they are questioned and say, "What do you liquor?" People may be drinking. What is this? They say, "Well, a manager or an older waiter or waitress will keep an eye on the child serving the liquor." So you can see this push to reduce. What do I always tell you? I believe, in my opinion, adults and children, they want is one. There are no limitations. There's no anything. It's going to be as one. It's all part of this normalization of the sexualization of kids. Everybody is just one. That's it.
Tell us, uh, tell our viewers, or whatever the hell you call this. The other night when we went to the Bobby Kennedy Shmuley Botiak event, that was still that's I'm still affected by this. Give us your take.
You're worked up.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
I'm
Well,
frenetic.
coming out of the last couple of years in New York City, where everything was shut down, and even when it did sort of reopen a year ago, people were still hesitant to come out into groups and also to get together. There were not a lot of these. I mean, you know this. New York every night was a party if you wanted it to be that way. There were happenings, there were, cocktail parties, there were just different social events. So it's finally opening up, which is good. People need each other, people need to be together, people need eye contact, they need physical contact. I thought it was very good, and I'll tell you why. For the fact that we saw, I don't know, they could have been teenagers, some of them 17, 18, 19, 20. And we also saw a lot of older people. We saw black and white, male, female, gay people. And that's what I like. When I see a demo that's everybody, and we had people who were dissenting, asking different questions and questioning. And I think it was handled very well, with a lot of respect, a lot of dignity. And I thought it was an excellent event for people to come together and express themselves. I give people a lot of credit who would stand up and ask questions if they agree, disagree. I thought it was very good. That being said, I know the focus with Rabbi Shmuley was on Israel and was on Bobby Jr.'s apology and explaining himself and how much he knows about Israel and the history. I would have liked a little more when you have a crowd of several hundred together. What would the platform be? Also, I would have liked to include it. You never want to waste an opportunity, in my opinion. What is he going to offer as president? What is his?
Absolutely.
Just throw that in for 5-10 minutes. Give us a little nugget. Give us something. I thought that was lacking.
I also think there. Don't you agree with me that he should just lose the vaccine talk? He's already made his point. We understand.
Well, I think a lot of people should lose the vaccine talk. Now, I'm not liked for expressing that. We know about it. We've
What
been
do you
through it
mean?
all. A lot of people, I know some people who continually are talking about the vaccine, the vaccine, the vaccine. Now, it never ends. The way I operate, we know about it. A lot of us don't like different things. We have doctors now, and people online allowed to talk about different things, different studies. We have all these young people on football fields dropping, pilots behind wheels of airplanes. We don't know what that is. We don't know, but it is unusual. And I think we have to deal with, at least my philosophy, my thinking is in what we have now going forward. How are we going to affect the change going forward? How are we going to educate the public? Because something that astounds me every single day, we have the internet. No matter how bad people think that is, none of us are giving it up. We live in a digital world. It's only increasing. Our lives are online. Why are people so in the dark? Whether it is child sex trafficking, whether it's labor laws for kids, whether it's what the Biden administration is doing. Because when I talk to people, they don't seem to know things.
Right.
And then they seem very like I'm making it up.
Right.
Really? Oh, no, really? So I'm not understanding. We have all this wealth of information where you can research, you can wade through, you can find like minded people, whatever you want to do, freedom for everybody. Yet I'm finding the people. I don't know if I'm imagining this. People used to be smarter. People used to be able to hold better conversations, and they had more critical analysis and more patience to hear somebody else out. I feel like everybody's always trying to up one, better one, shout out their opinion. I don't know.
Well, a couple of things. There's a kind of a unique, I don't know if the word is, maybe a kind of a paradox. People are writing constantly. They're writing constantly, but they can't write. They can't write, they can't spell, but they're writing constantly. Very few people when we grew up were writing that much. Maybe in school, maybe I guess, but nobody really honestly wrote as much as people write today, and yet they can't communicate a thought. That's number one. Number two, they have the library at Alexandria in their pocket, and they don't know anything about who died, who's alive. They don't. People will tell me, "What does that word mean? What does that mean?" It's like, look it up. Look it up. You've got it. Oh yeah. I don't know what it is. I don't know. It's a paradox. They write more. Don't you think that people, by virtue of writing things, would say, I'm kind of getting better at this
No,
communicating it, but they don't. But let me
no.
explain a couple of things just very quickly. When we were there, um, there is a very serious, still, um, and I don't want to call it anti-Semitic, but Israel and the subject matter is just it is a third rail hot button. Most of the time, I think from the people that I know, it's enunciated by people who have no idea of what exactly they are talking about. And whenever I ask them, I said, okay, let's assume what you're saying is true, whatever it is, because you never, well, I shouldn't say never, but you very rarely hear somebody blast the Palestinian point of view. It's always Israel's occupying, Israel's brutal. Okay, fine. What would you like them to do? I don't get an answer. Well, what do you want them to do? I don't know. Well, what do you mean you don't know? I that's where I am with that. Now, I don't
Mhm.
want to litigate that one. Did you not find it fascinating how there were people from seemingly different walks of life in terms of age,
Yes.
foreign. We had everything from everybody from Hasidim, not Lubavitchers, but Hasidim. We had people from the press. We had this from somebody from the Japanese press interviewed me. There is such
You had a
an
guy from the London Times sitting
yeah,
across
London
from
Times,
you.
right? But there is such an interest. This is almost similar to what happened with Trump. People
Right.
people are just there's something about. And by the way, to be honest, this is my opinion. Bobby Kennedy is exciting as a as watching laundry dry in terms of what he says, but who he is and the bravery of what he has said against everybody. I can't figure out what is it that's drawing them.
Hmm.
His
Well,
speaking style is not it. Rabbi Shmuley was on fire compared to him.
uh,
What do you think it is? What does Bobby represent?
well, first I want to go back a little bit.
I'd
So
rather you not.
I know that the room was filled with all sorts of people, all sorts of backgrounds, all sorts of dress. And something I always like to do in waiting for the event to start is listen to the buzz around us, what people are talking.
Yes.
And they were very excited. They were very happy to be there. Listen, I think the name Kennedy is just in and of itself, people are fascinated with the name Kennedy. That's what I think, number one. Number two, people are hungry. People are hungry for, I don't care if it's talking about the vaccine. I don't care if it's talking about, you know, this is wrong, that is wrong. They want a third party, maybe. They do not, this left, this right, whatever it is, Bobby is presenting something new, something fresh. And I think, I don't think he has to say that much or be, I just think some people, there's a lot of interest around them. I saw a lot of women, I'm sorry, because I'm a woman, like they couldn't wait for him to come out. They were sitting around
Oh, they
us,
were groupies.
like groupies. There you go, like groupies. And I thought, wow. And a lot of single women, they didn't have a husband or a boyfriend seemingly with them. And I just think people want fresh. Look, who is in the Republican Party besides Donald Trump? There is nobody. Let's face facts.
That
We
was
don't know
Mike
what's,
Pence.
like I said, there is nobody. Okay. That we'll just let that one go. I mean, there is nobody. I did like, believe it or not, the other day he was very good. Larry Elder came on my show,
Fantastic.
and he
Fantastic.
he's hitting out at things, I guess, because he's a black man. He's allowed to talk about, the fatherless black families leading to the crime. He's got the studies, he's got the stats, he's openly talking about it. I do like that. Like, that's the reality. Larry can talk about that. I can't. I'm not a black man. He can. We need to talk about these things. I had somebody on today who said they were with Donald Trump, and he was going through what he just spoke to him about. And I threw in, and please, families as well. It was about the economy. We're not hearing enough about our economy, how we will recapture our economy, how we'll get out of this hole we're all in. I think Bobby, he's not yelling, he's not screaming, got the
He's
name.
not yelling. Let
No,
me ask
no,
you something.
no, but I actually think people appreciate, no matter how people attack him. If you saw his congressional hearing, he maintained his cool. They outright were attacking him. They were lying to his face, and he keeps his cool. And I think people like that. And that goes to my part of my, which I say every day, the pendulum is slowly swinging back.
What I'm saying is, and I believe that the pendulum is going to swing back like a wrecking ball. Let me ask you something. What do you think about Bobby's voice? I'm serious. When I wanted to a couple of times to say to him, like, don't strain. But you know what? It makes it seem like he really. Let me just say this for people who don't know. He has a spasmodic dysphonia. He says he's not in pain. It's just his vocal cords don't vibrate enough. He says the more he talks, the better he feels. But somebody was bringing him, tea out, and it makes you feel like, look how may sound nuts. Look how much he wants to talk to us. He's obviously having a difficult time talking. This really must mean a lot to him. Seriously, I know that may sound odd. I think it kind of works in a strange way. It's endearing, if that's the correct word, because not everybody knows what's wrong with his voice. It's something that he has to address. But in any event,
Well, I think if you're going out in public to sit and listen to him, and he's been on most, and I know he has a lot more engagements lined up. It's only the beginning. You have to know. You have to find out what's wrong with his voice. You have to. Nobody's going to say,
yeah,
and his voice is. What do I think about it? He was on Hannity the same day, right before our event. He filmed with Hannity. And I noticed when I looked at a clip of that, his voice was much stronger.
right.
So perhaps from talking so much, he was a little bit weak. I don't think the voice thing matters. I think it's up to people to understand he has something wrong with his voice.
From what
I don't
we're hearing, his Hannity performance was not exactly. He didn't knock it. Well, excuse me. Bobby was great. He apparently owned Hannity.
yes.
Just cleaned up. I mean, but that's not. With all due respect, listen. You know how I feel about that. Fox News is over. It's done. It's time to move on. And I don't know if we necessarily agree with this, but let me see, make sure I didn't hit my microphone here. I don't know if, okay, I just hit, I'm not a fan per se of all that is Tucker Carlson, but he represents a move from the right towards the middle, and Bobby is a move from the left towards the middle. And those two people, even though they're not prototypically considered to be, I should say, politicians, are so both indicative of the change that's happening and would be a dynamite combination. Because let's
Hmm.
face it, you and I were together in Brooklyn when we saw those young kids go nuts over Bernie Sanders. Here's this old Jewish white haired guy in his 90, not exactly Mr. Pizzazz, that kids loved because of his sincerity. And
Hmm.
basically, Hillary Clinton told him, you're gone. So that momentum can be focused anywhere you want it. That will split and destroy the Democratic vote. And President Trump, who is facing what, his 75th indictment, perhaps? If he's the nominee in the Republican Party, he's the he wins. I mean, think about this. This is exciting. It's
Who
not
who
far fetched in the least.
who else can get the Republican nomination? There's nobody stepping in at the last minute that can beat Trump. I mean, there's not. I don't. And as far as Tucker Carlson goes, yes, we differ on opinions for a variety of reasons, and
Mhm.
we probably don't have time to go into those reasons. But I remember Tucker when he wore his bow tie and he was on MSDNC, and then all of a sudden he was the toast of Fox News. And yes, he did bring subject matters that people wanted to hear about, and nobody else was allowed or did talk about or wanted to talk about. He had a massive audience, but I don't know. For me, there were little things that bothered me. For instance, I don't know if I should say this. Things like, why do you have to allow your staff to have pictures of Nancy Pelosi in her bathing suit on your Fox office walls? Stupid stuff. What?
Well,
Sorry, it's a waste of time. I don't care if it's Nancy Pelosi or if it
well,
was
for
the
anybody
Nicole Kidman
listening,
work.
this was an allegation and one of the
Yes,
bases of
allegation.
apparent settlement of that producer who left, who claimed that and anti-Semitism. I think in his defense, he would say, I wasn't even there. I'm in Maine or wherever he was. I'm not even in the New York office.
Good.
Whatever.
I'm saying this. I don't.
Let
You
me
know.
let me also but I I I don't like him. I wouldn't want to know him. He's one of these. He's an
Do you think?
elitist
Do you no?
snob.
But
But
really,
but for purposes, go ahead.
do you see him going down to the border? For instance,
Yes,
let's see, El Paso, and sitting at a cafe on the side of the road
absolutely,
with those
absolutely,
townspeople. Really? How come we haven't
absolutely.
seen it? How come we haven't seen it yet?
For one thing,
He's
he's trying to
going to
figure out what he.
Ukraine. He went to all these other foreign places.
Well, I think he's trying to figure out kind of what he's going to do with his lawsuit. I have no idea. By the way, he had on yesterday. I cannot believe what a jadrul this guy is. This Tim Scott. Everybody says, "Oh, he's so terrific, Tim Scott." This guy is a moron. He was talking about basically trying to degrade Russia. It's like what is this Kremlin
I don't
baiting
understand.
Russophobe? Anyway, but Tucker went into this thing. Now he's an evangelical Christian. Look, I don't
Stop.
care about that. All I know is that there is something that he represents. What? Here's Bobby and here's Tucker. Okay, both of them outcasts, rebels. Both of them kicked away. Bobby rejected by his family. Tucker rejected by Fox. Tucker trying to do something different. Tucker, who the first person who even acknowledged or wants to talk about UFOs, who took the contrary position. So I kind of like what he does. I don't know if I'd like him, but then we've got Gavin Gruesome, as a friend of mine said today.
Hmm.
This guy is going to step in. He is going to replace Pops and Carmelita and probably Gretchen Whitmer. That's what we heard from our inside sources, which makes sense because I'm hearing more about this. You don't know. I mean, you do understand. I want to win this. If I could bring back, reincarnate in a hologram, Mom's Mabley, if that wins, then
Okay, but
let it be Mom's Mabley. I don't care. I want to destroy this cancer on our society called the Biden administration. And
yeah,
if Bobby can do it, if they can help by destroying the Democratic Party, by maybe making these Democrats, we know a lot of Dems. You and I have also suffered tremendously. We have been just ignored, dropped by friends because of some affiliation with Trump and whatever. So we know how this thing works. But of those lunatics that we know, there is not one of them that would submit or allow their children to be submitted to a hysterectomy, penectomy, orchiectomy, a puberty blocking. Where are the Democrats to stand up and say, "Wait a minute, the rioting during George Floyd? Where were they? This lunacy? Can you imagine our liberal New York Upper West Side friends turning in their gas ovens, their fancy schmancy, or eschewing pizza by virtue of this Kathy Hochul stuff? Where are they? They don't they can't be for this. There's no Democratic contingent who is for this woke nonsense. I don't understand. Are they dead? Do they not? Are they not listening?
No,
Seriously, do you know any
they're
of these people?
no,
You know
I don't
more
know.
than me.
Uh, no, I think people like to act like they're on board in public. Privately, they go about their lives and they think this is ridiculous. I think that's the majority of people. Yet in public, they'll say, "Oh, yes, yes," anytime. And I don't really do it in public, but if somebody starts with me that I know, I'll say, "What does the Biden administration, are you better off in the last few years?" Or, and they never have an answer.
No,
They
no, no, of course.
never, but I do want to point out right now, I blame Republicans and Democrats for a lot of things. And as I was trying to, here in New York, start during the midterms, the winning platform to get people to wake up, get on board, would be the strengthening of families, taking care of children. Our education system is in the toilet. It's worse than in the toilet. And also the economy that people have to be able to. I don't know where this is all going to go with this Fed and this, and they've written all this money. Where will this be in 2 years from now? And so
Let's
if
also
somebody had a
throw.
no, but if there's somebody had a platform of economy, families first, kids, like that, and everything else can follow. Right now, Republicans, Democrats, nobody is looking out for children. I am telling
Well,
you, I'm
let's.
seeing it in my eyes.
This was good. This was our inaugural one. I'm going to do this again. I'm kind of at the point of exhaustion. I think so are you today. Next time I want to talk. I want to explain to people and have you explain better a little bit about what it looks like in terms of for lack of a better word, the foreign infiltration, the migrants, the crime, the lunacy, the craziness, the constant reeking of pot. We'll kind of give them a little flavor of New York. And by the way, for those who want everybody to follow you on Twitter at Lynn's Warriors, that's LYNNS underscore. Next time I'll put a banner here. Underscore. In fact, do me a favor, talk and say something, and I'll put it up right now so people can see it.
Well, what I want to leave everybody with is there is never enough talk, discussion about online safety. I mean, I truly mean this, that when we have 85% of parents admitting they don't know what their kids are doing online, age appropriate, we can't tell you, parental autonomy when you give your child a phone or a laptop or a Chromebook. Lots of kids have they're into gaming. All I can tell you is wherever the kids are, so are the predators. And we have a youth mental health crisis. We know it's fueled by the internet, what the kids are seeing, the algorithms comparing themselves to other kids. Remember, it's fake on the computer, the images on Instagram, Snapchat, fake, manufactured. Yet the kids are having mental breakdowns comparing themselves to other kids. So I just want to leave you with, go to linswarriors.org, the website. Start having a family digital partnership. I'm going to keep saying this until people do it. A lot of
Good,
people are. And
good.
know what your kids are doing. And it's not heavy handed. It's not us versus them. It's not yelling at anybody. It's talking around a dinner table, talking during a
Can you
car ride.
imagine if we? Can you imagine if we had kids now?
Well,
They wouldn't go outside. They would. It would be like one of those. You know that what was that movie, The Amazing whatever, with the Kimmy whatever, where the kids
yeah,
were
Kimmy
kept like in a
Schmidt.
bunker. Yeah,
Well,
the bunker. I would
but
have them
how? But
siloed.
no, but how unhealthy is that? Because people need other people.
Siloing?
People should not be isolated. People, you know what my dream is? A child needs about 2 hours of academics a day, and then 2 hours of arts and movement. Go to museums, go to a dance class, do a soccer. Like kids don't need this 5, 6, 7 hours of this intense nonsense kind of thing. They need to be more worldly. They need to explore things. We know art and music leads to better test scores in math and science. We know all this. And just before I forget, you were mentioning about when we started about we have the everything in front of us on a phone. I think because we used to write, we had to take our time and think like when we were writing about what we're writing, so our brain could
Gee,
slow
imagine
down.
that.
No, because remember what we had to think about what we were writing. I've had people say to me who do the double thumbs, I'll be like, what about capitalization? They don't care. They'll say, like, oh, that doesn't matter.
And
Or I have
periods.
autocorrect. Or I have autocorrect. They don't care about the grammar or the spelling. That's the society we live in today. So I think everybody has to step up. You know, if you give your child a device, I believe it comes with a duty to protect, because there is nobody doing it for you. That I can assure. It
Well,
is up to us.
let's do this. I want to do this again. Obviously, you are incredible. That is the Twitter label. Look how tired I am. I'm like
Called it's
ischemic.
called
Um,
I don't know. It might be called an X handle now. I'm not sure with that black X. I can't get used to it on Twitter. It's a big black
I'm
X
kind of
now.
pulling a Mitch McConnell here. I'm kind of just kind of blanking
Well, I
out
don't.
of
I know it is
status.
a little poor Mitch freezing at the microphone, but
Well, bless his heart. Listen,
no,
he's still a hell of a lot smarter and sharper than Pops in the White House. Any event, I love you. We'll do this again. Thank you so much.
I
Again,
love you.
Lynn's
And
Warriors, and we will do
thank you
this
for
again.
having
And
me.
this is fun. This is you're good. You're very good.
Well, I learned from the best, but I
God,
really
so.
I want people to understand before we sign off that we are at a crossroads in America. We have an American crisis happening. And we also, I just want to also mention, we have a fentanyl crisis. We have a war on. It's poisoning our children, our people. People have to wake up to these issues. That's what I don't understand. When I bring up fentanyl, they're in the dark. How can
I
you
know.
be in the dark? So we've got a lot of things to cover, a lot of
Alrighty.
exciting issues we'll be talking about coming up. Thank you for having
Indeed.
me.
Alrighty. I love you. We'll talk soon. And by the way, please like this video, subscribe to our channel. And I'm dying to see what your thoughts are in your comments. And if you like this combination, we'll do more of this. We'll go live more. And we'll do this. In any event, thank you so much. And don't forget, my friends, as we always say, well, what do we always say?
Well, I thank everybody. I like to thank, yeah,
Yeah.
I like to thank people for tuning in, for listening,
No,
for
no.
support. No, I don't know what you're doing, but for supporting
I have no
us.
idea.
No, I'm very honored that people listen and they want to know and they want to learn, and that's 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 the best thing in the world. And we have to take our country back and fight for our families and children. We have
Very
to.
good. All right, dear heart. There she is, Lynn's Warriors, Lynn Shaw from the Great Lynn's Warriors. And thank you for watching. And please comment as you see